Reese, what do you think U-hauling is?
I have no idea.
Say less. Whether you're listening for the first time or already a part of our community, I'm your host, JJ, and this is another episode of Unstrapped The Podcast. Today's episode is welcoming a friend of the podcast. Our word of the day is U-hauling. Our topic of the day is navigating the healthcare system. So unstrap, sit back, and relax. Let's get into it. A little bit about our guest today. Something you'll learn about me is I'm fortunate to have found my community by joining a fraternity last fall, and this is one of my brothers. Reese, let our listeners know, what do you identify as?
Reese.
So when I say what do you identify as, Reese is where we going.
Reese is where we going.
I'm here for it. And
you can call me a lot of things, but it's always going to be Reese at the end of the day.
And I'm definitely in the same bucket. Honestly, I change that answer depending on the weather, the season, all of those things. Do you have any preferred pronouns?
No.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about your business? I know a little bit. You can tell our listeners.
Yeah, I'm the owner of a cannabis-infused tea that I started in 2022, to help people like me that can't just pull out a blunt and smoke it, but I can drink a tea at work when they're getting on my nerves.
I'm here for it. So last, are you team strapped or unstrapped?
Team strapped.
I'm here for it. So I know we started off the podcast in a weird way, which is a question. And for everyone listening, whether you're the first time or you're already become a fan, we just want to educate both the actual host, because I'm not going to act like I understand what's happening in our world all the time, on random facts. And the way I'm doing that is by choosing a word of the day for every episode and trying to dive into it a little bit. So, diving into U-hauling.
What is that?
It is this idea that, like, a U-haul lesbian, or U-haul syndrome, which is crazy, fam, is a stereotype of a lesbian relationship, referring to the idea that lesbians tend to move in together after a short period of time. Do you feel like that's true?
No.
I would say that's not true for my situation.
Right.
Why do you feel like it's not true?
That's not true for all my situations.
Ooh, copy.
Ma'am, you lived somewhere before you met me.
So I guess you're not into the homosexual thing.
I am. But it's like sometimes when we're too like always on top of each other and we're always in the same place or always around each other all the time, what are we going to talk about?
That is true.
If you're going to always be around me, you're going to know everything that I know. And if I'm always around you, you're going to know everything that I know already. And I'm telling, so it's like,
it's funny. It's like I feel seen and attacked at the same time.
Right.
By that. Because as you know, I have a fiance that you know. And we have been together for 6, now going on 7 years. And we now live in the same space for exactly a year. So we just hit a year living together. What was it, like end of February or whatever. And, I think we just got to that point where we're like, damn, we need a bigger space. Okay. I need to be able to call something my own. And it has to be something that's not my work from home office. It got to be maybe like my own room. I don't even care if it's a basement.
Right.
I need something that's my own. So I hear you when you say that.
Right.
Like, you need your space, I need my space.
I'm not saying that it won't happen eventually, but right off the rip, no.
That's a fact. But I will say, I didn't know a lot of masculine lesbians before the fraternity, but I will say this. The few that I did know over the years, all of them did fall into this category of U-hauling, right? They were in someone else's crib or they had someone in their crib next day. And I just saw it and I was like, yo, this isn't for me. This isn't for me.
Exactly.
But yeah, diving into our next segment called Temperature Check.
Okay.
And just once again, because a lot of our listeners are going to be new, and you're a first-time guest, Temperature Check is just a moment for us to talk about what's actually on our minds. This is not necessarily something we've scripted or thought about ahead of time, but what's top of mind for you in your life right now?
How can I protect my peace? Because it's very stressful out here. A lot of the time. A lot of shit is going on. So learning how to navigate everything going on and still maintaining my mental peace. I think that's the most important thing for me right now.
What steps are you taking to like do that, or are you still trying to figure that out?
Well, I go to therapy.
Okay,
Go
I'm
to,
here. Team therapy.
I do that once a week, maybe every 2 weeks, but I definitely do it monthly. Just trying to change some of the ways, like some of the things that I do naturally, like the way I eat, the way I see things. You know, I feel like life is a is a constant journey of learning. You know, education doesn't stop at grade 12, no matter who tells you. Life is the best teacher. So I think that's the best thing right now.
I love that. I love that. I feel like top of mind for me is I'm 31, right? And like depending on the day, I either feel really young or really old, and I think it also depends on who I'm talking to. But top of mind for me right now is how do I, at my current age and experiences in life, help my aging mother, who's 73, navigate a series of things when it comes to aging, right? Whether it's how does she navigate the healthcare system?
Right.
I'm in a tech. I'm a nerd. Everybody knows that, right? But how does healthcare work? And like, how do I help her navigate it? Like, she's someone who works and she's
Right.
proud of what she does. She's a social worker, right? She does not want to retire, and I don't want her to retire.
Right.
But there are times and places where you either need to retire
Right.
or you're kind of forced into it. And that's just, the truth or whatever. So you have that. Then on top of that, like, this is not maybe new to you, but this will be potentially new to the listeners. I just lost my eldest brother last year. And that was a big reason why I ended up, meeting and people in our community and being really invested in building community. Her losing her son too early has also
Affected
been
her.
a part of what we're navigating right now.
Any parent that loses a child, I'm sure it would bother them.
Right.
It would affect them in a way that would impact their health care.
Yeah, like we're really navigating how you're feeling every day or what you're going through. Is it depression? Is it aging? Is it both? Like, that's what's top of mind for me. And so, I took a little bit of time off of work to try to help her through things. I'm glad I shaved my head because I would have pulled my hair having to go through this process with hair. But it also made me think, like, damn, how many people out there are trying to do the same thing I'm doing or worse? Like, you are the senior in this case and you're trying to figure this out yourself.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right.
That's crazy.
Have you ever thought about the way she, like, that's your mother at the end of the day. And in a way, you got to kind of switch roles. That's kind of what I'm going through with my mother because my mother is 72. God has blessed me. I still have my mother and my father. Both of them, 72 is my mom, 73 is my father. Both of them are retired, but both of them went back to work because they said, why would I sit home and I'm still healthy enough to work? And I'm grateful for that. I am grateful for that because they need that social aspect of it, but then they also have their own independence as far as making money and things for themselves. But also at the end of the day, y'all, you are getting older and you do need a little bit more of assistance, And me as your child, you did it for me when I couldn't do it for myself. So why wouldn't I do it for my parents when they can't do it for themselves? Yeah. Luckily, they can still at this point, but there may come a day where I would have to take care of them the way they took care of me when I was young,
Yeah,
So,
and I'm glad you mentioned all of that because that's all that's been buzzing my mind, like nonstop. It's almost kind of like you turned on the faucet and now it's just running.
right.
I'm grateful, one, that I'm able to take care of myself and her.
Right.
Right? Both financially and mentally and whatever.
Emotionally.
But also, too, like, we both live in New York. So it's kind of like we have access to programs. We may not know what those programs are, but we have access to a lot of programs.
Right.
So I learned in this journey that, like, there's a program out there for seniors who just want to transition into a new career. Period. You get job training, all of that, and you get a whole new career.
That's great.
They have one
That's
where
great.
It's kind of like that, but you only do it for like a year. It's like a temporary job, and that's dope too. And then like someone put me on to like, even though I don't want to do that, like I don't want to put my mom in a home.
Right.
After seeing what happened to seniors during COVID,
Right.
I'm traumatized. But
Right.
there are even programs where if that's all you can do, there are programs that are very cost effective, if not free. And I didn't know that.
Right.
I would have assumed I was going to sell my soul if there's something left to, make sure she's taken care of. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to do it for her because she did
Did
for
for
me.
you. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
I don't know, you don't know people's situations, but me personally, I don't know exactly what could ever happen that would make me put my mother or my father in a nursing home.
Yeah.
Whatever could happen, they would live with me before I put them in a nursing home.
And that's something that I will say I'm fortunate to agree with when it comes to my fiance.
Right.
She's going to be so hyped I don't even talk about her on this damn podcast. But, when we first got together, that was one of the, this is my situation. And this was like, when we got together like 6 years ago, I'm like, yo, there may come a time when I need to take care of my
Right.
mother. And I need my next partner to be by my side.
Understand that.
So if
Right.
we gotta move and get a spot with her and we're all together, cool. She just gotta move in with us. That is just the case.
Right. So let me know now what you trying to do.
Big facts. So, as of right now, she's all on board, and I think it's because
Great.
a lot of us in a certain age group are already seeing our parents' age, and so we're able to connect, right? Just like me and you are connecting, like we're able to connect in our home and say, look, this may be a big home one day.
Right.
We're gonna figure this out.
Right.
So I love that. Yeah, but I'm gonna jump into our next segment. Our next segment is called Doom Scrolling. Once again, just gonna explain what that is because we're still new here. The idea here is, hey, if we catch something in the news or something funny on social media that we just want to bring up on the podcast, we're just gonna do so because why not? And once we get through all of that, we can jump into like the meat and potatoes, if you will. Unless you're not into meat and potatoes, please do not sit up here and tell me about what your dietary restrictions are. I'm a big person.
It could be you put, instead of that meat, put tofu.
That's not what I'm concerned about. I promise you. I'm finna eat something real big back-ish after this podcast, all right? But, sorry. Just keeping it, real. Doom scrolling. So, when me and Reese were talking, we were thinking about, okay, as it relates to the topic of the day, what is happening in the world right now? And we kind of decided on, let's talk about, what RFK is doing, or RFK Jr., let's be very clear, is doing out in these streets.
That damn fool.
What's happening in your head?
This fool said he want to take away fluoride from water. Okay, so half of the people the majority of people that don't go to the dentist, but they drink regular tap water because they can't afford to go to the dentist, how are they supposed to maintain their teeth? Because fluoride is what keeps our teeth strong. So now you want to take fluoride out of water. So now we all going to be walking around toothless. Then on top of that, sir, you don't believe in vaccines. You notice how we got measles, polio, shit that hasn't been around in years. It's all popping back up because he doesn't believe in vaccines. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous, sir. And then you're the Secretary of HealthCare and Human Services for the great piece of shit United States of America.
Yeah.
Yeah. The rest of the world is laughing at us, right? They looking at us like we're fucking stupid.
Oh, yeah. We're on, a long SNL skit.
I had a cousin that recently just came back from Sweden. Went to Sweden, had a great time, but couldn't get over the fact how they were laughing at her and her peoples because they were American. And they had pictures of Donald Trump and was like, and they were telling her to her face, you are so stupid. You are so dumb. It's funny how the rest of the world can see what America can't see.
That. And it's sad because, I'm one of those people that you can tell me anything and I'm going to give you, I'm going to play devil's advocate because it's fun for me. I'm going to be like, no, you're right. But honestly, when I think about some of the things that are happening, and if you are completely lost in this conversation, let me give you some kind of high-level topics that are, going down in RFK Jr.'s world. We have a restructuring and downsizing effort, right? So a major restructuring effort is underway, aiming to streamline health and human services operations. right? So that's a reduction in workforce. So a
Yep.
whole bunch of people are losing their jobs.
People that know what they're doing are losing their jobs.
Facts are between 82,000 to 62,000 full-time employees.
Yep.
And as someone who recently had to go through a layoff myself, the only thing that stopped me from losing my mind was the fact that the world around me was going through it. And I'm not going to say that's a positive or negative thing to say. I'm just going to say, like, I just felt the human emotion all around me. Is where I'm coming from with that.
Right.
Some major highlights, focus on chronic disease. So a key priority is addressing chronic diseases. Right now, they're looking at the creation of an administration for Healthy America, or AHA. Yeah, AHA. AHA. That's what it's called, right? Just reading the facts, right? More operational changes, like changes to the CDC with refocusing on outbreak response and preparedness. Well, if you fire everybody, I don't know who's going to respond, but once again, that's just, those are the random thoughts that come to my mind. I don't know about you.
They so ignorant. They're so, oh God. Truly, don't matter what you believe in, but the fact that we got an oligarchy, I think that's what it's called, all those billionaires running this country, that's a problem, considering all those billionaires have more than what the rest of the earth, that's everywhere, every continent, every space, everywhere, have the most money in America, and look what they do. I read a story that if one of them paid their federal taxes, we would cure hunger in America. We would cure homelessness in America. That's just one of them paying their federal taxes like we do every year. Yeah. Just one of them paying their federal. But that shows you why it's easier for a camel to get through an eye of a needle than a rich man to make it into heaven. Yeah. That's that reason. It's that reason right there why the camel will get there first.
I've been trying so hard to take the news in small doses.
It's depressing. It's depressing.
Yeah, I've been microdosing the news, right? And when I think about the major changes to government, and especially the ones where people are just losing their jobs by the thousands, and we're just talking about it like it's a regular number on paper, right? I understand the need to change how we operate. It doesn't matter which organization we're talking about.
Right.
There's always opportunities to improve. But there's always opportunities to do so without drastically impacting the lives of those, around it, right? Like, do I think we need to lay off 100,000 people to get something done? No, but if you're telling me with all this evidence that, we chose these people, not that I don't think that's the case, but we chose these people because we have clear patterns of like them not being able to do their job, and that's why our systems are bad. I would understand that though. That's reasonable.
But that's not what this government is saying. This government is saying because of what? DEI. Let's be clear. It's white women that's suffering right now because of DEI. It's these people. With the government that we have, they're so racist that they don't see anything else besides that white Aryan nation that they want, correct?
Right.
But they're not realizing, motherfucker, let's be clear. Who built this place? If you look at the inventions down to the light that's right there, it was a black man who put that light that we could have. It's, if you look at a lot of the things that we use on a daily basis, even 3D, when we watching these tapes, it was a black woman. It was a black woman who started that with NASA. It was, and it's so ironic that it takes movies like 6888 that was on Netflix recently for us to see, oh shit, women was actually in the military handling business, because they'll make it seem as if that we ain't shit. We because of the color of our skin, we're not smart. But emphatically, we hold the most degrees. We're the most educated. And it's like, and it just makes them look really stupid and foolish.
Yeah. But, and that's how you already see the banning of things. And that's something that
disbanding of things.
Right.
Take Target. How do you think Target feel today? before the day,
Target.
they said that we're going to not do DEI.
Target has their feelings hurt right now. Like,
Real-
I know
real
Target is
bad.
a company, right? I understand there's the company and then there's the people behind it. But I will talk about Target as a human being for a moment. Because I know their feelings are hurt.
Oh.
I know their feelings are also hurt. And you can always tell who's hurting the most or who's trying to be ahead of the game in terms of, oh, that's what's happening over there. Let me get myself together. When I turn on the TV, there are two types of commercials coming up right now. It's Target commercials going, we still love you, black folk.
No, wait a minute. Did you see when they put Lorenz Tate and Nia Long? Like, what's that shit back in the day? The poetry movie.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Love Jones.
Yep.
Love Jones. And I was looking, I was like, but you know what? I couldn't even be mad at Lorenz Tate and Nia. Get your coin. You damn right. Get your coin. Ain't nobody gonna still go up in there, but get your coin.
So Target is on a nonstop, like, I'm sorry, black people. And that's what the narrative is. I don't care what anyone says.
Nobody want to hear
That's
that.
the narrative. But then the other commercial I see a lot, and I haven't seen them go this hard in the paint in years, which is McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
McDonald's has always made it clear to the black community, we love you guys. We are donating en masse to your local churches. We are making sure you see yourselves in every single one of these commercials. And let's be clear, I'm well-traveled. I know depending on where you are in the world, you may be seeing different commercials, but I'm letting you know what I'm seeing in New York.
Right.
Those two companies are going head-to-head because McDonald's don't want that smoke.
They don't.
McDonald's does not want that smoke,
You
and
gotta,
a lot of the other companies.
but also think of
of
where, not only are you well-traveled, but so am I. So let's be clear. And predominantly a lot of quote-unquote white neighborhoods, you're not going to see that many McDonald's, but you go to a black neighborhood, they're going to be like a bodega.
Posted.
Like a bodega. They're going to be on every corner. Every corner.
Also, friendly reminder, if you were listening to this in a weird place that is not New York City, not a weird place, but you know where I'm going. A bodega is a corner store.
Oh, yeah.
It's our version of a condensed grocery store, and we really love these places.
That sells
It's a part
chopped
of New York's-
cheese.
Yeah, it's part of the New York way of living, so just keeping that in
Right.
mind. But yeah.
You think about it, you're like, they don't post up in their neighborhoods. But then again, now that we are starting to see things, like what's killing me with the government also, oh, we want to get rid of TikTok so they don't get your information. Who the fuck are you trying to, right there, I believe that's a Samsung TV right there that we looking at.
Right.
Look, I probably got a Vizio in my room. Like we said, the majority of my clothes made in China. Watches, even down to the hair that we wear. We get it from where? China.
Rare. Well, when I used to have hair,
Yeah, right,
I know y'all know
right.
I'm bald now. But, you know, Reese saw me probably with hair. When we
Yeah,
first met, and that was it.
and then that was it. Like the next week, that
I
was it.
chopped.
But I like it. That's a good look.
Yeah, but no, I think we have a lot of growing to do as individuals and as a country. I just feel like I'm just gonna say this. I know how I voted, and this is not a political podcast.
Not at all.
You'll also hear me say, like, it's also no longer my business, right? I'm tuning in and microdosing, and I'm going to be like, all right, cool, what's happening? But also, it wasn't me.
Right.
It wasn't me.
Like on April 5th, when I looked on the TV at those protesters out there, none of them looked like me. None of them. But then again, you know what else I noticed with those protests? I didn't see any bloodshed neither. I didn't see any canisters of smoke being thrown in the crowd. I didn't see any dogs being released. I didn't see people SWAT coming out to them, like because they were protesting peacefully, because it was very different when they were doing Black Lives Matter all around the world.
But you also didn't see a lot of coverage.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of coverage on the stuff.
Right. But look at this. It's like everybody sat there and just looked at it, because it really was like we said something before you voted him in. But the problem with America is, it's not even so much that the problem with America is they're so used to lying that, like, they won't even admit their original sin, slavery. It's better for you just to admit it, because we all know that it was there. We all know who made the White House. It was slaves that made the White House. So let's be clear. We all know that exists. The thing is, America's trying to tell tell people, don't let kids read this book. They're trying to whitewash it. For what? That's what it was. How can we move on from there? But we can't move on from there because you will never admit the truth of what happened originally. You understand?
Right.
America will never admit the truth to what they have done. You know, and it's unfortunate because you're like, damn, this all could have been different.
Yeah.
But because people want to lie, that's why we still here in this place. That's why, you know, you got white people not liking black people. Black people, I'm black people not like white people. Then when COVID was going on, everybody was punching Chinese people in the face.
Yeah.
For what?
And I live in an all-Asian neighborhood.
But you think about it.
Me out,
before COVID,
my people didn't deserve that, and I'm not Asian, but like,
yeah,
those are my people.
No, you think about it. What before COVID started? When you was going down to the fucking Chinese food talking to Ming Lee, or you was when your girl was getting her nails done by Ming Lee, was she a bad person then? No. It's like, so I didn't understand the reasoning. You know why people were punching people in their face? Oh, it came from China. That's what our lying ass government said. We don't know. It could have been them that put it out there. You think about, didn't they infect black men, the Tuskegee Airmen, with polio, trying to say it was other stuff that they were giving them? But so let's be clear. This government is known for lying.
Right.
Known for lying.
But you know what? That's why it's important that, you know, we stick together as a community.
Yes.
And hold, you know, our family and our friends and our community down.
Right.
As we, you know, we try to navigate this. And who knows, maybe we may see in our generation a big enough change. I'm not going to say changes, but
right.
a big enough change that make us feel like, okay, this wasn't all worth nothing.
Right.
But, you know, I'm really excited to get to be able to have that conversation with you and just know where we align on things. And I love that. You know, that's what this is about. It's about talking to our community, about our community, and about what's happening with our allies.
Right.
Our friends and family. We're all connected.
All connected in one way or the other.
That being said, I'm super excited. We're going to jump into the main segment, which is Aight, so boom. Now, if you are not a New Yorker and you don't know someone from New York, Aight, so boom is a wild way that people start off sentences out here. Lord knows where it actually came from, but I'm not going to lie, it feels so natural to say. And so for me, if you're about to start a very long story of some kind, Aight, so boom is how you're going to start it off. So, you know, the topic of the day is, you know, navigating the healthcare system, and we're doing so from the perspectives of being masculine lesbians. And so, like, I don't know, Reese, do you want to start about, you know, how you've been able to navigate the healthcare system and how that even really see your business?
The healthcare system in America is not good. It's not good. It's like if you have money, you're getting good care. If you don't have money, you're not getting care at all. So that's the first problem. Because everybody deserves care. At the end of the day, everybody deserves care, regardless if you man, woman, gay, straight, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's everybody deserves health care. In my own personal situation, because you do know, but I suffer from MS. I've had it for over 24 years.
Sheesh.
But I just started walking with the cane maybe 3 years ago, a walking stick 3 years ago. So for all that time, I've had it. I'm taking my infusions. I'm doing everything, you know, they say to do. But I still have this, you know. And it's like I was doing well with just because I take a 3-hour infusion once a month. But also at the same time, I was getting physical therapy. Physical therapy was helping me to walk so I don't walk like a robot. I can just walk regularly. So I was doing extremely well. But because of health insurance, they said I was doing too well, and they stopped it. They didn't stop giving me the poison that I was getting in my veins every month for 3 hours. Because you think the pharmaceutical company makes that drug that hangs in that bag.
Right.
And that I sit there for 3 hours and I take my infusion for the month, right? But the thing where they're stretching me, they're walking me, they're making sure that I'm good. They're, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Allowing the body
Allowing
to do
the body
was
what it's humanly supposed to do. Our body is, God made our body amazing. It has the ability to heal itself. It really has the ability to heal itself. Case in point, growing up, my father was a very bad alcoholic. So his liver started to act up. He stopped drinking for like maybe, I want to say he stopped drinking for 15, 16 years. You know his liver seems like he never had a drink in his life.
Wow.
So the body has a way of, but we don't eat right because they put McDonald's and shit in our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
They're not going to put a Whole Foods where we can get nutritious stuff, where that will actually help you. If we eat fruits, there's certain fruits that help the eyesight, that helps the blood vessels. It works, it heals you literally from the inside out.
Right.
What they try to do with healthcare is, I'm going to give you a pill for that headache. I'm going to give you a Tylenol, ibuprofen for that headache. And I'm not going to tell you that it's going to fuck up your liver if you continue to take it. Yeah. So now, not only do I have a fucking headache that's driving me crazy, but now I got a fucked up liver to worry about. You see what I'm saying? All pharmaceutical. But if you got the right amount of sleep, drink enough water, you know what I'm saying? Exercise, and you actually did the things that you would do naturally, then we wouldn't have these issues.
So is that... Did all of these things in terms of what you're, consuming inspire your business?
Yeah, it did. It's like I started...
And let the listeners know, just like a quick, one-liner or two-liner about
right.
What is the business and,
Right. Because of the MS situation, it was my stupid-ass brothers. I got twin brothers who came to me and showed me a show on Netflix years ago. It was called The Underground. What it was is how... From the beginning of time, there's like the way cannabis has went around from each state, even these states that are illegal. They used to build how like an underground railroad. Mm-hmm. I remember seeing one. There was a real train that was on, but they cleared the train out. They had nothing but plants and lights inside the train, inside the actual train, and they was growing cannabis. They do stuff like that, but I also do see, and it's natural. It's natural. It's not something that I can pop a seed in some soil, give it some water and some sunshine, and now I got my cannabis. But I started in 2022 because of this MS situation. I always drank tea, but then I was like, what about a cannabis-infused tea? So in 2022, I started the Hot Pot, and that's the name of my tea business.
The Hot Pot.
The Hot Pot. I was saying to you earlier, not everybody smokes cannabis. Not everybody eats edibles. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people drink tea. It's like I don't drink coffee. I never liked it. I never, even
it's
as a kid.
It's a cultural thing.
Yeah, it's like I've always drank tea.
Yeah.
But all you gotta do is take a tea leaf, throw it in some water, let it heat up.
Call it a day.
There you go. You good. And the best part about it is, it's like when you have the tea, you don't feel anything. You feel regular. Nothing. You feel completely regular. But then that ass go to stand up. That's it. You know damn well that, you know what I'm saying? And you get some of the best sleep. The majority of people that get it, a lot of people that get it from me is not only because of that they have MS, but also because insomnia. You get some of the best damn sleep.
So it helps with pain. It
helps with every ailment. Like weed. When you smoking weed and stuff, but when you drinking it too, that shit still make you hungry. So if you have problems in eating, drink a cup of that. I guarantee you're going to eat.
Yeah. And I think that's why they waited so long to regulate it, not to cut you off. But it's like, they were like, we know this is good, guys. We just need to figure out how we're going to make some money on this.
How are they going to tax it? How are they going to tax it? Do you see when New York, when they started the cannabis, how many like illegal cannabis shops there were?
They made it sound like New York was going to be. I don't mean this in a crazy like terrorist way, but they made it sound like we were going to blow this place up, right? They made it sound like people were going to drive high and crash. People were driving high before,
right?
And they were fine,
right?
Same amount of crashes,
right? But they also saw statistically, it's not only black people, it's white people that tears this weed. Right by my job, they got 2 cannabis stores, one on this side of the street and one on this side of the street. You see the lines still to this day. Lines are around the corner for people going in, getting cannabis. And it's everybody that go in there and get it.
It's not just over there, too. Like
you
I said
see
before,
you see
I
it.
live in an all-Asian neighborhood,
there
actually. I know I'm black, y'all. But yeah, I'm that one black person on the block. But, we got our little smoke shops popping up. And I'm like, oh, I see y'all.
Word. Yeah.
Yeah. But
everybody does it. Not saying everybody does it, But the reason why I also started the tea, my mother doesn't smoke. She never did.
Yeah.
So my mother drinks tea and stuff, and she had cancer. My mom suffered breast
Wow.
cancer in 2018. Thank God she's fine now. But I will never forget, me and my sister, we didn't know what to do. So we went to the smoke shop. We bought some THC oil. And we sure enough did pop that in her coffee. My mother was walking around, bald headed, look, losing weight, but she was good. She didn't feel nothing. And then after, because she doesn't smoke or do anything, we had to tell her after her treatments and everything. Once she beat it, then we was like, Mom, we need to tell you something. She was upset, but she was more happy that she was okay.
Yeah. I have a quick question for you. Mm-hmm. You know, as you know, the point of this podcast is, you know, to have our community speak about our community being masculine lesbians, and all the labels between. Y'all don't kill me. But do you feel like as you went through your journey, which was very long,
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to manage MS,
Yeah.
do you at any point ever felt like how you present to the world changed how you dealt with healthcare providers or how you took care of yourself?
Honestly, because that's another thing. Ever since the first moment that I found out I had MS, I was with an ex-girlfriend and me and her found out. But I remember, like, we didn't know much about it. At the time when I found out about it, that's when I don't even know if he was alive then. But do you know, you know who Montel Williams is?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Bro, you're like 31. I'm like, oh man. Nah, but remember Montel Williams, he had MS. And you know, he was telling us about like taking cannabis and doing stuff like that and that nature or whatever. It's like, and we didn't want to hear it. We didn't want to hear it. America did not want to hear it because of it's a gateway drug. I ain't never seen no 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 crack factory in Queens. I ain't never seen no heroin factory in Brooklyn.
Right.
You understand? Like, I seen the products come in from somewhere else. But wait a minute. A lot of people that live in Brooklyn and Queens, they don't have private jets. A lot of people that live in Brooklyn and Queens can't go to other countries and bring stuff back. You know, so that makes me think about that shit too. You know, because why was the crack epidemic and the heroin epidemic so big? It's so big that, so big that it really, they made our community kind of like a slave to it.
Right.
During that time. And it was sad because they were doing it also in other neighborhoods that didn't look like ours. It was just being done between the toes and in the breast.
Right,
and shit.
right.
Remember,
People knew how to hide it.
Right, exactly.
And, you know,
exactly. And now,
also
but now
why
we
it spread the
see,
way it did.
but now we see exactly like it's everything is always 2020, you know, in hindsight.
Right.
So now all these years later, we're looking like, wait a minute, that's not how it went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know about you, but I feel like I personally have an issue that I've spoken to you about because you know it comes and goes, and it's actually on the go side more so. I suffer from chronic back pain from what?
Right.
Who knows? Doctors didn't diagnose me properly 14 years ago, and so I have random moments where I can walk like your average person.
Right.
Right, and there's times when my body freezes up because of you know whatever's going wrong, muscle spasms or whatever. And I sometimes just can't walk for a couple of seconds, a couple of minutes. Sometimes I'm done for the day.
Right.
My point is, I remember trying really hard to figure out what was wrong. And I could always tell when I went to a doctor's office that the conversation was shifting because of things that I couldn't control.
Right.
And like, at least on my end, I got a lot to choose from. Are you looking at me weird because I'm fat? Are you looking at me weird because I'm black? Or are you looking at me because of how I present? I personally don't even feel like I present on purpose, right? Like, I've never been that person that can flip between being like a masculine lesbian and being feminine. No, me looking feminine looks like, come on now.
Stop playing.
Come on, stop playing. Stop playing, right? That's how I feel like when I'm in a dress or something like that, right? Not that I do those things anymore, but like, my whole point there is, like, I just remember always having that feeling, and I remember even boldly asking a doctor, like, can you tell me what's up? And, you know, they actually made mention of like, oh, well, you know, is there something about like what you do sexually? I'm like, what I do sexually have to do with my lower back? I'm like, unless you're asking me how good strap game is, which would be a wild conversation. I don't know where you're going with that, sir. But I even thanked him. And that's going to sound crazy, but I thanked him because I'm like, I go through so many doctor's appointments.
But this one was straight up.
And in their own way, they were just curious enough to be like, oh, screw it, let me ask.
Right.
Now, I could have reported them and all that stuff, and I didn't. Why? Because, you know, I love an honest person. To my
Actually,
face,
the conversation was maybe refreshing in a way.
It was.
Right.
It was, because I'm like,
right.
All right, cool.
Right.
Because whether it's my lower back issue or just learning how to be a masculine lesbian in other spaces, right? Like,
right.
I end up finding out that I had a fibroid, and I hated that experience. I hated that experience because I had to talk about the part of my body I don't like talking about normally. And, you know, it is what it is. Like, maybe I'm less immature or whatever, but I feel like I'm not alone when I think about how sometimes awkward it can feel when you do present a certain way and you are trying to navigate places.
Right.
So that's what you're doing to yourself. And then the other piece, like that doctor and their little comment, how other people see you and how they treat you.
Right.
Making what is already a very complicated system much harder than it needs to be. Much harder than it needs to be. And, like, I just want to take a second, if you're okay with that, just to remind the listeners, like, the point of this podcast is for us to come together as a community and feel like we're connected and we're going through some of the same experiences. And even if we're going through something different, like, you're not alone. Like, let's be clear, if you are in a situation right now or have been where you feel like, hey, navigating the healthcare system, this feels unique to me, like, don't feel weird. I kept that same thought process to myself for a very, very long time before I became bold enough to not only talk to someone like Reese about it in private, but I'm now talking to you, X amount of people, about this, and that's okay. That's okay, because this conversation starts what could be change for us as individuals, or us as a community, or us as a human race in the future.
Right.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe an exaggeration. I don't know. I like to play dominoes. But yeah, that's kind of like how I'm feeling about it. Any other thoughts on healthcare and, you know, just being a masculine and lesbian within it all?
I think even regardless if you're a masculine lesbian or not, healthcare needs to be changed across the board.
Yeah.
You know, because if I'm only going to speak to the masculine lesbians, what about the feminine lesbians? Yeah. What about the androgynous? What about the trans? Because healthcare is important to everyone. Yeah. Everyone. So I think it needs to be a complete overhaul of some of the things that we have that for the healthcare that we find good in our healthcare and not so good.
I 1,000% agree. Yeah. I think we all need to just take a look at this topic.
Right.
And once again, this is not a political podcast, but if we could just maybe do slightly better when it comes to putting certain people in certain places,
right,
we can at least feel comfortable about where we're going.
Right, or feel some type of safety in knowing that, you know, as far as healthcare wise, we're receiving factual, actual information.
Right.
Regardless of who you are.
Right. And once again, that in itself is a big thing to tackle, but you just tackle it one day at a time, and you start off by saying, okay, this is what I do know, this is what I don't know, and this is where I need help with. Right. No, I love that. Right now, we are about to wrap up the show, which I'm really, 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 really thankful for, and I'm always say that. Because I'm not someone who just says I'm thankful when it's Thanksgiving. I really do appreciate you being on the show, Reese. You're more than welcome. Also, just having you as a great big brother. I know that sounds crazy, probably for the podcasters.
It's so funny when you call me a big. It's funny when you call me a big brother because I'm so small compared to everybody else. That's a fact. Like, it's almost like an oxymoron.
What's that joke you make? You're like about your weight. You're like 100 pounds wet or something.
Yeah, like I'm like 125 pounds soaking wet, and I'm like, everybody be like, yo, what's up, big bro? I'll be like, Big who? Big who? You're like, me? Me.
But yeah, I just want to just thank you for being a friend of the pod.
Definitely.
And really that means a lot. It means that, you're someone I knew prior to, jumping into this. But it also says a lot about who I am to you and who you are to me.
Right.
At least from my perspective. And I just want to thank all the listeners for joining in. This is a new podcast. I don't act like I know what I'm doing. This is a very raw podcast in the sense that what you're going to hear is what you're going to hear. And, my goal is to not necessarily make this an easy podcast where I could just talk to myself all day. I can do that all day. I can just talk to, Reese all day. I would love to have you back. But I want to hear from every single one of us in some capacity.
Right.
That's a wild statement, but I'm so serious about it. Or dead ass.
Everybody got different ideas, different thoughts. And,
different
when
experiences.
you, kind of like my mom, she said it when we were young. She was like, baby, she was like, before you make any big decisions, she was like, you always put everything on the table, everything. So you put all thoughts, everybody's kind of thoughts in the podcast, and then you put it all, you throw it out there on the table, and then we see what masterpiece we come up with.
And I love that. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm really trying to do. So, if you are listening and you vibed out with this episode, or you're like, hey, I can see myself being Reese, right? Just let us know. I'm on every social media at Unstrapped The Podcast. The whole thing, just don't put Unstrapped. If you do so, at your own risk. Unstrapped Podcast. I actually check my DMs and answer it. And I want to hear your questions for the podcast. I want you to join us on the podcast.
Right.
So I can, make sure our community is speaking about our community and not, the opposite, right?
Right.
And yeah, I'm really, really hoping that you continue to tune in, you continue to interact, and we appreciate y'all. We're going to wrap it up from here. And yeah.
Thank you.
Clap it up.
Thank you.